Sleep paralysis. Chances are, if you're here right now, you're looking for answers, probably because you yourself had a sleep paralysis episode, maybe last night or somewhere in the past. I too suffer from sleep paralysis, along with some other parasomnia issues, including hypnic jerks and exploding head syndrome, where like you hear like people screaming in your ear, or loud music, or whatever while you're sleeping. Um, my name is Richard Montgomery. I wrote a book called Memento Mori, which is Latin for Remember Death. The book concerns itself with sleep paralysis, paranormal activity, the development of a soul, and the afterlife, all of which I believe are related. Uh, the problem is you can't find answers. And one of the things you need to think about right now is that why are you even looking for answers? If you just had a simple dream, as science would tell you that you had, or a hallucination, you probably wouldn't be scouring the internet looking for answers. And even if you did, you certainly wouldn't encounter thousands and thousands and thousands of people straight across the world who all have experienced the same exact thing that you did. There are some common features in sleep paralysis. All of them are frightening. Shadow people, Hat Man, the Hag, seeing spiders, hearing machinery, people screaming in your ear, demonic presences, evil presences. All of these feature greatly in sleep paralysis. And the question is why? Who are they? What's happening? Now, C.S. Lewis says that we are not bodies with souls, but we're souls with body. And science, while it can possibly account for what's occurring during sleep paralysis, doesn't seem to want to take into account that we are bidimensional. We have spirits and we're also bodies. Now, what is occurring is a natural occurrence. When you fall asleep and you move into REM, this is the delta wave of sleep. Basically, what's happening is that your body produces two chemicals called glycine and GABA, and these two chemicals working in tandem will paralyze your skeletal muscles. And this is to prevent you from acting out your dreams. And this is also what's not working in people that have sleepwalking. And basically, they just move about and act out their dreams. But people who are sleepwalking do not see what people who have sleep paralysis do. This is because, in effect, it is only affecting the physical body and not the spiritual body, as is the case in sleep paralysis. Now, this is an entirely natural occurrence, but what I'm saying is that it's an unnatural occurrence as far as what it's doing or how it's affecting the spiritual body, because we are bidimensional. Somehow, in some way, there's a vibrational distortion as you're like moving in between states of consciousness in between the two bodies in the silver cord. And during that distortion, you are somehow misaligned with your body, or you have an altogether pop out, which is an astral projection, an OBA, and you are experiencing an alternate dimension that looks just like this one because it basically is. It's like superimposed on top of it. We're actually sharing space with something else, and that something else is the afterlife. And in it are not just the souls of humans, there are other things. All of these things need to be questioned, which is why I wrote the book that I wrote. Now, my first sleep paralysis experience happened when I was a kid. I was about 5 or 6 years old, and this is after my mother died. And you'll find a commonality that a lot of people that experience sleep paralysis for the first time do so during tragic events and do so during that time frame, 5, 6, 7 years old. For most people, it's a one-time only occurrence, and it seldom ever happens again in life, or they have it later on in life, and it's a one-time only occurrence. About only 8% of the population even ever experiences sleep paralysis. Now, when you consider the population numbers are somewhere between 7 and 9 million, we're talking about roughly 560 million people that have sleep paralysis. So even at 8%, that's still a lot of people. Now, for it to be a recurring event, well, that could start to take its toll on you, and that would probably be why you're on here right now looking for answers. It's a lot to deal with. It's certainly not something that I would write off as being a normal event. So my first sleep paralysis event, like I said, happened when I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I went to bed at night, and I found myself outside in the yard, and it was dark out. Same time frame, same location, but I was outside, and I could see the swing set in front of me and the cherry tree to the right. And there was a fence over there, and I could see into my neighbor's yard, but not directly, about catty corner away from me, there was this dark figure in a trench coat and a hat. And he was blacker than the night, and he seemed to be eating the night. I don't know how to explain that. Like, he was just blacker than black, and everything emanating off this entity was just pure fucking evil. I was terrified, just standing there terrified. And he started like gliding along until he got directly across from me. And once he did, he stopped and he looked at me. He raised his head up in this really creepy manner and looked directly at me, and he seemed to be enjoying the fact that I was terrified, and I didn't want to see his face, and this was out of pure terror. So instincts kicked in, and I found myself retreating. I went from the yard back into my bedroom somehow and re-entered my body. And when I re-entered my body, what I could see was like a spinning newspaper. It said like child killer on the headline. Once the newspaper stopped spinning, everything turned to snow, like you see on a TV, like white static. And there was his face superimposed inside the snow, and it was kind of like pushing out, and it was laughing at me. And then when it receded into the background, it relinquished control of me, and the sleep paralysis ended. One of the things that I took away from that experience was that an out-of-body experience, once you return into your body, that's when you'll experience a sleep paralysis, which leads me to believe that most sleep paralysis episodes are not full out-of-body experiences, and that's why you automatically go straight into the paralysis. That also leads me to assume that there's something going on between the spiritual body and the physical body, that there's some kind of misalignment. In effect, your body is a biochemical vehicle. If there's no one there at the steering wheel, it doesn't feel like you can move it. It's like a car that doesn't have a key in the ignition. It doesn't move. It's paralyzed. And, this, of course, would work at the same time parallel to the natural occurrence of sleep paralysis. Some correlations that I noticed was that later on in life, I moved into a house where a gentleman had just died. He had a heart attack. And when I moved in, I started moving all the stuff outside, and I moved into the master bedroom. And the first night, and immediately the first night, I went to sleep at night, and I could hear it running across the room, and I felt this evil presence, and I felt the body jump on top of me and start choking me out. Now, that is a common occurrence in sleep paralysis. It didn't just happen one night. It happened 3 nights in a row, each night in rapid succession, getting worse and worse and worse. The very last night, I heard footsteps running across the room. I felt the bed shift, and I felt this weight on top of me, and this rage, this blind rage directed at me. Needless to say, when it finally let me go, I had called out to God, another commonality. It finally let me go. I grabbed up a Bible. I went downstairs into the living room, and not that I'm saying I'm a tough guy, but I'm not exactly the kind of person that scares easy. And I'm in the living room, and I'm rocking myself, kind of like the way a rape victim would, because you feel violated. And I'm thinking about what just happened, and something told me, go back upstairs and have a conversation with whoever this person was, this entity or the spirit, and explain things. So I did that. I went back upstairs, Bible in hand, armed with the Bible, and I explained. I said, hey, listen, you're dead. I'm not an intruder. I live here now, and if you feel disrespected because I'm in your bedroom, I will definitely move to another room. I did that, and the experience has ended. Now, which is strange, because I had a roommate that moved into that room, and he never once had any experiences. So I don't know if certain people are just keyed in based upon their vibrational resonance, which is probably the case for myself and probably for you. But I also have to take into consideration a couple of things here. The fact that, if this house is haunted and induced a paranormal episode called sleep paralysis, that means that sleep paralysis is paranormal in nature. And basically what I think is happening is that you're somehow vulnerable to a psychic attack. Your spirit body is somehow haunting them as opposed to them haunting us. And the thing of it is that basically, if everybody's bidimensional, if everybody has a spirit body and a physical body, that pretty much means that anybody can experience this. And you will when you die. I find it interesting to note that OBEs, lucid dreams, astral projection, and NDEs and sleep paralysis are all pretty much basically the same. Something occurs where you're relaxed enough, the spirit body becomes more than the physical body, or the consciousness shifts over into it, and it becomes the pilot of experience. That says a lot. That points a finger in a direction that we need to take a look at. So I know you probably don't feel like I answered all your questions. If you feel that way, then this is kind of the point of this whole thing right now. It's kind of an ad. I hate to tell you that, but read the book. Again, the book is called Memento Mori. It's available on Amazon Kindle Direct. My name is Richard Montgomery, and I would appreciate some feedback. Anything you have to say, or just simply if you want to share your experiences with me, I'm definitely interested to hear what you have to say. So other than that, I wish you well on your journey of research, and keep checking out other videos. I'm sure there's a lot more stuff out there. Thank you. Have a good day.